Greetings, thespians, it's Tuesday, and it's Britain outside again. So, nice to see you all last week. I do have only limited sympathy for the people who are currently experiencing 40-degree weather at the moment, although, to be fair, I have on one occasion experienced 40-degree weather and it is deeply unpleasant, so yeah, hope it's slightly more manageable for you guys down under at the moment. So, get the big news out of the way quickly. I went for an audition today and I got a part in an upcoming web series. Yay! It's called Subterfuge and I will be shooting it in mid-February. The pilot is due to go live fairly soon and I will link you to that. It's going to be primarily on YouTube, so links when that happens. So on to this week's topic. I think the worst production that I've ever actually been in was a production of The Crucible that we did while I was at college. Now the actual concept of it I thought was interesting at the time. The idea was to have the first two acts of the play set when the Crucible was traditionally set. Then the third would jump forward to like the McCarthy era hearings of when the play was written, and then the final act, when we're in the prison, is actually going to be like a modern depiction of Guantanamo Bay, because that was what was big in the news at the time. And you know, it was high concept stuff, but the problem was that the cast were just horrifically undermotivated, and I have to put my hand up here and say that I was not free from blame when it came to just not applying myself as much as I really should have done for that. I only had a small part. I was playing Judge Hathorne or something, I think. But we were on book until 2 days before the first performance, and when we finally did get there, it was alright, but there were lots of missed cues and there were lots of late entrances, and it was just generally a bit of a poor show all round. And everyone knew it, which meant that morale kind of took a bit of a for it. The worst show I've ever seen was... I haven't seen that many ones that I thought really were utterly abominably terrible. Although one that did stick in my mind was when I was at the Edinburgh Fringe last. I went to see this comedy show that was put on by a bunch of students, and it was kind of random and studenty. But the thing that kind of made it bad for me and spoilt the experience was that at almost every point in this show, I could have looked at something that was happening on stage or something that was happening technically and thought, yeah, I could do that better. And, you know, I know this could be seen as educated snobbery talking here, but really it was the difference between, if done properly this is funny, they're not doing this properly, it's not funny. Just actually related to what Kelly was saying about the show that she saw that was in German, I remember when I was, again, in college and we were taken to see a group called Gardzinica, who were a Polish company, and they were doing, I think it was a double bill of ancient Greek plays. Most of it was in Polish. I could kind of see why we were being taken to see this, because it was an example of really scarily sharp and well-organised execution of everything. All of the actors, there were like 5 or 6 actors, they all did everything. You know, whether they were male, female, old, young, you know, they all sang, they all played instruments, they all danced, they all did physical theatre, they all did everything. It was really good from that point of view. But because you couldn't understand anything of what was being said most of the time, a lot of their obviously very skilled work fell flat. I mean, to say nothing of the fact that they were performing to a load of, for the most part, bored out of their mind college students who didn't want to be there. Which was a shame. Pearls before swine, I guess. But ultimately, even as good as everything else was, it didn't really have the impact that it could have done had we actually been able to understand what the hell they were talking about. Mary, always pleased to hear that you're remaining gainfully employed. Do let us know how that turns out for you when you end up back there. The audition was in Exeter, so while I was there I figured I'd drop in on Signets at lunchtime, and they're all doing fine. They were generally pleased with how my Nostalgia Fest video on my own channel went out. If you haven't seen that, I think, yeah, it was the last thing I put up on my main channel. It was just a kind of trip down memory lane, really, but for those of you Jason fans out there, there's a good sizable chunk of him and others. So yeah, things seem to be coming up positively for me at the moment. One of the things that occurred to me about this role I've just got is that it's another unpaid job, but actually, with the possible exception of the last couple of months, I have been acting fairly steadily for the whole time since I graduated, which I don't think necessarily everyone who graduated from Signet at the same time I did can claim. Food for thought. I mean, those of you who have been at academic institutions and subsequently graduated, how much of the thing did you do training for, and how much of it did you do straight away? I'd be interested to know. Anyway, I'll stop rabbiting on, and Mary, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, guys.